I'm Dr. Antenucci. I started my career in dentistry in the Air Force, where I helped our military personnel get healthy and stay healthy. From there, I built a successful practice in Huntington, New York, and later as a teacher, lecturer, and author, I shared my knowledge and experience with students and fellow healthcare professionals. And now my journey's taken me here to explore the world of health, wellness, diet, fitness, and nutrition, as together we discover and find the good life. Heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth." Now, isn't that the truth? This beautiful, chaotic world we live in just received the biggest sucker punch of all time. We wake up one morning making plans for the day or the month. Maybe it's a graduation, maybe it's a wedding or a big business meeting that we've worked on for a long time, and bam, it's all changed just like that. As much as we like to believe life is not linear, things don't flow from point A to point B in a straight fashion. But humans have the remarkable capacity to forge ahead and to thrive regardless of the odds. For me, when obstacles are presented, my thoughts immediately go to how can I make the best lemonade from this pile of lemons? Today's show touches on these topics, highlights stories from some remarkable people who faced significant challenges in their lives and found answers to forge right ahead. My first guest today is Dave Ward. Dave and his wife are U.S. citizens and empty nesters. They sold a house in Florida and most of their possessions and planned to spend 1 year abroad, traveling through Europe and the Middle East on a work-away program. They're currently in Morocco due to the virus, and they've been stuck there. They've had to adapt to some very difficult, different, and unique circumstances. Dave, I'm so happy to have you here on the show with us right now. So tell me, exactly where are you?
We're in Casablanca right now.
Casablanca.
Yes.
Tell me about yourself.
As you mentioned, I'm 59 years old. I was a former TV guy, and due to consolidation and so on, kind of moved out of the business and started working part-time, semi-retired at a school working with small children. And because we both worked for a school district, we had the summers off. And my wife discovered this program called Workaway. And so we actually used this Workaway program and spent 6 weeks over the summer in the UK. And that's how we kind of got started on this whole traveling path.
How long have you been doing this?
We started last June, and then we came back to the United States, went back to work for a couple of weeks, looked at each other and said, do we really want to go back to this? While we were still young enough to enjoy it and be able to do things. So at that point, that's when we sold the house, we quit our jobs, and we started putting together a plan for 2020. And then we planned out our first year of travel.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we planned out the first year of travel. And, the plan was 3 months in Morocco, then moving on to Sicily for 3 months, then France, and then 6 months in the UK. And that would be the first year. And then, of course, for the first 3 months in Morocco, this happened.
So before the virus hit, what were you doing in Morocco? What kind of work, or what did the program have you doing?
The way Workaway works is there's hosts, and all the jobs are different. And the way it works is you volunteer your time in exchange for a place to stay, and usually meals. So it's a great way for people to travel inexpensively, as long as you're willing to do something.
So what kind of jobs were you doing?
This Workaway was, we were volunteering teaching English at an English language, it's called British Language Academy in Casablanca.
So in Morocco, in Casablanca, did the virus hit very hard?
No, all of Morocco did not get hit very hard. They actually locked everything down fairly early as well. But we never ran out of toilet paper. We never ran out of food. We never ran out of hand sanitizer. We never had any of those issues that my friends are experiencing in the UK and in the US. So,
So
the
were you
cases have been
restricted?
relatively small.
You were restricted to your home during this time?
We're actually staying in the school,
Oh, okay.
and we kind of retrofitted our hosts are very gracious. They're letting us stay in the school for free. We kind of retrofitted the classrooms. We put beds in the classrooms, and there is a
You're camping
shower,
in
so
school,
we've
huh?
got a shower. But we've kind of turned
Yeah,
it into
yeah.
a home.
So what goes through your mind? What's it like spending quarantine in a city that's not your home, but you're making it your home, and you're even in a difficult sort. You're in a school, not even in a home where you're living. What's it like? What are the thoughts that go through your head?
Well, I don't know, it's very strange. Because we were here for a couple of months before everything happened, we were already familiar with, the area. We already knew people. We already were kind of used to the customs a bit. So that helped a little bit. We have had the opportunity to go back to the United States. There have been 10 reparation flights, and we've chosen to stay. So it's been actually our choice to stay, seeing what was going on at home and the situation there. We actually felt that we were safer staying here. At the beginning, it's just kind of like camping out. It's actually been okay. Our hosts have been, they bring us food. The people in the neighborhood are wonderful to us. It's like everybody else. The biggest thing is just keeping busy. Well, the people here are wonderful. Everybody has been. It's a wonderful culture. It's a wonderful place to be. So we're just soaking up the experience.
Well, you certainly have a story to tell. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspective and your experiences. I wish you the very best and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
We'll be back with more of Finding the Good Life. Our next guest is Philip Moser. He's a remarkable man with a story to tell that pours straight from his heart and his soul. He's author of the book Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life. It's an award-nominated story that's all about the resiliency of the human spirit. It puts everyday problems in their proper perspective, and it proves that love really does conquer all. Phil, I'm so honored to have you spend time with us today, and I hope you're doing well during this whole coronavirus thing.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gene. I'm doing great.
Well, I want you to know I read your book and I was really touched. It showed your amazing relationship with your daughter throughout her life. And your book is so special because what it does is it builds on that relationship to teach others how precious life really is. I know it's hard to encapsulate a lifetime in a few words, but please, we want you to tell us your story.
Sure. My wife, Marilyn, and I raised two wonderful daughters. Our oldest daughter, Camille, she was very focused on what she wanted to do, and she loved art, and she went to college and got a graphic design degree, and she is now a graphic designer. My youngest daughter, Brittany, she was a little more adventurous. She decided she wanted to see the world, and she got a job as a flight attendant. And she graduated from flight training, and she started flying all over the place, just living the dream. And then she started noticing on some of the flights, she started getting nauseated. And after a while, it was every flight. So she went to the doctor, and they diagnosed her with a rare autoimmune disorder, Hashimoto's disease. And so flying was not the occupation for her. And so she got a job in Denver that she liked real well. And she called me up one day and says, "Dad, I got this bucket list of adventures I'd like to do. and you're my best friend. Would you go with me? There was no way I could say no to that. It just sounded exciting, and she still wanted to spend time with me at 30 years old, and I was honored by that invitation. So in 2013, at the end of 2013, we started this bucket list of 20 adventures, and the criteria for the adventures were, they were places that were so beautiful, they would literally take your breath away.
So were you a hiker before?
I liked outside activities and biking and that sort of thing. But far as hiking in the mountains, no, this was relatively new to me.
Because I saw some of the photos, the beautiful photos in your book and online. You hiked some major trails and mountains.
Oh yes, and so
So that bucket list was a real bucket list then, right?
yeah, and so in every vacation I got, we'd work on our bucket list. I'd go out there, fly
Wow.
out there, and we would see what she was up to and what she felt like doing. And so we had the time of our lives. And in 2 years, we completed 13 of the 20 adventures.
Wow.
And she started getting sick again. And this time it was real serious. She got so sick that she had a hard time even getting out of bed. And she went to emergency room there in Denver, and they could not find anything specifically wrong with her. And so they just sent her home, and she continued to get worse. And she got so sick that she had a boyfriend at the time that had to carry her into the emergency room the second time. She told them, she said, I think I've been looking my symptoms up online. I think I have Addison's disease. And they looked at her kind of funny, and they like, well, we highly doubt that, because that is so rare that we've never even seen Addison's disease. But we can take some tests to find out. And 2 days later, they come back and says, Brittany, you were absolutely right. That's exactly what you have. So the only thing they could do for this disease was give her steroids to replace the cortisol that her body didn't produce. Eventually found a balance between the hormones and symptoms that she could live with, and she started getting stronger and better. And then she messaged me one day and says, Dad, I got one more place I want to add to our list. I said, sure. I says, well, where is it? And she goes, well, it's Sky Pond in Rocky Mountain National Park. So I looked it up, and I was like, whoa, it's this clear at the top of the mountains where the snow never melts. And so the next time I talked to her, I says, well, Brittany, we'll have to go in July or August when the snow melts down. It'll be cold and snowy up there. And so I started making plans to go. And 3 weeks later, she got sick in the middle of the night and passed away. And it was obviously devastating to me. But I wanted to do something special for her. She was such a special person, an inspiration to me personally, and everybody she was in contact with, that I wanted to bring some attention to, one, this disease that they didn't know how to treat her for at first, and just to honor her in the way I thought she would love being honored. So I decided, no matter how long it takes me, I'm going to finish those last 7 adventures on that list, and then I'm going to take her to Sky Pond.
Philip, I want to hear more about your daughter and your journey, but we have to take a quick break, so will you stay with us?
Sure.
Thank you so much. We'll be right back. We're back now with author and dad, Philip Moser. Thank you for staying with us.
It took me a year and a half to finish the last 7 adventures, and they were some of the hardest physically challenging adventures on the list. And in the summer of 2018, 12 of us hiked up the mountain in Rocky Mountain National Park and put her ashes at Sky Pond, just like she wanted. And so I started telling people what I was doing, and they said that's such an inspirational story that you should talk to the newspapers. And so I did, and they did a full-page story and nominated me for Story of the Year. And so they said my story was so good I should write a book. And so that's exactly what I did.
You know, there are a lot of families today experiencing sudden and devastating loss, and many times they can't even be able to be together to comfort each other. So do you have any words of advice for those people who are trying to handle their grief?
This is what I've learned. Grief is love with no place to go. And in my case, Brittany gave us a place to go. She wanted us to carry on. She even left a message on her phone to that effect. And so if there's any way that you can carry on the same type of spirit that the loved one that you've lost would enjoy, I would recommend doing that.
I want to thank you so much for sharing this time with us. The book is Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life, and it's available now. And the author is the extraordinary Philip Moser. Thank you so much for being here, Philip.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
As time has gone on with this pandemic emergency, we're realizing so many things that we've taken for granted. With over 1 billion people across the world being confined to their homes, bars and cafes are closed, single men and women are limiting how they find love or a relationship. Who'd have ever thought that all of the rules of meeting people, getting to know people, dating, love, and relationships would dramatically change overnight? My next guest is Maureen Nelson. She's a relationship coach and a professional matchmaker who, before this crisis, has found love for tens of thousands of Long Island and New York City singles for over 25 years. Hi, Maureen. It's so great to have you on the show today. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and advice on this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
So let's start off by a hard question. Tell me about yourself and about your work as a professional matchmaker.
Okay, we are in this business to help people naturally, and matchmaking has taken off now.
But looking at it from your work maybe 2 months ago, how much more important is this today?
It is way more important because single people sometimes tend to be procrastinators. But now, because of the pandemic, and especially if someone is home and they're alone, they're realizing now more than ever they don't want to die alone.
So the process before this, you would have two people, you would interview them privately and maybe bring them together at some point. But how does the process work now?
Now it is actually easier than ever for singles. Now, instead of saying, okay, you matched and follow these guidelines, go on the first date, now it's all virtual dating. So we put together a whole new system of putting romance into virtual dating for our clients. And I have to say, they're loving it. And they're saying, even when things get back to normal, they want to have their first date now as a virtual date.
So walk me through this. You match two people online now. They really click together. They chat, they talk, they Skype, but then what?
So now clients still have to take our advice and they have to go out 3 times, but they're not going out now because we can't. So they're doing the FaceTiming or the Zoom, and we put together a way to put romance into that, and it's really working.
So how can people contact you if they're interested?
Okay, they could check out our website, mtnmatchmaking.com. And again, it's easier than ever. From the comfort of their own homes, they could just pick up the phone and ask for an interview.
I want to thank you so much for sharing this time. Thank you. Well, we'll be right back. Today's guest shared some great stories. Dave Ward shared his experience sheltering in place in Morocco and how he and his wife have accommodated. He provided a great perspective on what it's like to spend quarantine in a foreign country where customs and ordinances are all different due to the pandemic. Phil Moser opened his heart to let us know how the tragedy of his daughter's untimely death opened up his life to being able to embrace change as an important part of life, and it was instrumental in learning to live and to love. Then we had Maureen Nelson sharing stories of adapting to love and dating during these very challenging times. Life is a journey. We begin this journey with a blueprint inside of us, passed down from generations, and our individual paths carry us to different experiences all along the way that leave their marks on our lives. Challenges and obstacles are a part of all of our experiences. And the thing about challenges is that the harder they are, the better and the stronger we become when we overcome them. The amazing people we spoke with on the show today prove how we are uniquely capable to adapt, how we can have hope, find strength, and thrive. My hope is that this show has uplifted you and that you will join us next time in Finding the Good Life.